Hello and welcome to this session of GETDigital. My name is Abdul Salam Salim. I'm Assistant Professor in Digital Business at DCU Business School, and I'm delighted to be your MC for this session. Throughout this week in GETDigital, we will be exploring a range of topics related to business, leadership, and entrepreneurship, with a particular focus on how businesses at all stages and of all sizes can harness the transformation of digital technology to achieve their business goals. Turning to this session now, I'm very pleased to introduce our speakers, Darragh Doyle, Communication Lead at EPIC, the Irish Emigration Museum, and Rebecca Humphrey, Social Media Lead at the Irish Emigration Museum, who will be talking about growing an audience while our doors are closed. To our audience, we'd like to receive your questions, so please submit them during the session using the Q&A function, which you'll find at the bottom of your screen. And please be aware that the chat function is disabled, so please only use the Q&A option. We will be then compile the questions, and I'll ask Darragh and Rebecca to answer as many as they can in the time frame that we have. So looking forward to your questions, and remember to only use the Q&A function. And so no further delay, I'll hand you to Darragh and Rebecca.
Hi everyone, my name is Becca. I am the social media manager at EPIC, the Irish Emigration Museum, where I've worked since 2018, and I also manage the social media for the Jeannie Johnson Toolship, which is located in the Dublin Docklands, and also the social media pages for the CHQ building, which is the home to EPIC. So I work closely alongside my colleague Darragh, who is a social and media strategist. So through these 3 pages, we share and celebrate the attractions and the stunning local area, whilst also engaging with leading Irish tourism accounts such as Discover Ireland, Tourism Ireland, Visit Dublin and Fáilte Ireland, in addition to pages such as Global Irish. So if you haven't visited EPIC before, here's a quick preview.
Over the centuries, some 10 million people left the island of Ireland. Now you can travel in their footsteps and discover how this small island made such a big impression on the world. Experience over 300 remarkable tales of adventure, sacrifice, and triumph. Follow their hopes and dreams. Celebrate their victories. See life through their eyes. Uncover rogues and wretches and their notorious legacies. Sing the songs they took with them and dance to their tune. Be inspired by their creativity. Hear their captivating stories. Explore new worlds and meet some unforgettable characters. Journey through 1,500 years of Irish history, brought to life like never before at the world's first fully digital museum, EPIC, the Irish Emigration Museum.
I've worked online for about 20 years now. I've worked in social media for about 15. And in those 15 years, really the rules of social media haven't changed all that much. It's a conversation. Brands are expected to be personal and authentic, to make social media an organization-wide activity, and to love what you do. While our doors have been closed, we've done what you're seeing on screen here. And really, it is a testament to our colleagues, everybody from our visitor experience teams right through to our finance, facilities teams, the tech teams, and everybody who helps make EPIC work. And all of the other museums and tourist attractions in Dublin who have had their doors closed by COVID and by lockdown restrictions as well. What you're going to get from this presentation today is a practical example of what we did to grow our audience. Sometimes in social media presentations, I get frustrated by people showing what Coca-Cola did with all of their budget, or what Gatorade did with all of their massive budget. Using a small budget and a small team, we've got some, we'd like to think, pretty good results.
So across the 3 pages that we manage, we reach millions of people each month, and that continues to grow, particularly around major online celebrations such as St. Patrick's Day in March. So you can see here the growth month on month.
We like to stop people's thumbs or stop people in the streets through what we do. the biggest piece of reaction of our feedback that we get about our museum from visitors is, oh, I wasn't expecting that. We are aware that lots of people in Dublin don't know about our museum, don't know that it's in the 200-year-old vaults underground in the CHQ building. And we are aware that there's lots of competition in our space. Some of the better known galleries and museum attractions do really well in gathering tourists to go to them. So how does an attraction that is only 5 years old this year get people's attention? Well, it's through things like challenging stereotypes. We want to show our people abroad that there's more to Ireland than just the paddywhackery, the shamrogery and the messing, that there's more to what we have given the world and what people can understand about Ireland than just pints, kill and crack.
So we also like to shine a light on women's stories and the achievements of pioneering Irish women in history. So we recently discovered that only 7 out of 200 public artworks in Dublin are dedicated to Irish women. So in February 2020, we addressed this and we took to the streets of Dublin with our team, with our very own plinth on O'Connell Street, as you see here. So this campaign was accompanied by a television and podcast series, which you might have seen, titled Her Story, Ireland's Epic Women, which was created by our joint partners and broadcast on RTE1.
We also, for St. Patrick's Day, decided to take a stand on the amount of rubbish that's left on the streets by offering tickets to Epic in return for the novelty plastic that people buy for St. Patrick's Day and then discard. So we created this little campaign with our partners, the Public House, to show that there's more to Ireland than all of the greenery. So people could take their plastic hats and their boa feathers and their balloons and their caps and everything and come to Epic and get a free ticket to understand more about Ireland around St. Patrick's Day.
So back in 2019, we wrote an open letter to former President Trump, which we shared on social media and in print in the Clare Champion. So the letter itself was actually an open invitation to Epic and was printed in the local paper ahead of Trump's visit to Doonbeg. So the letter really had the aim of offering Trump the opportunity to see immigration from a different angle. So unfortunately, he hasn't accepted our invitation yet, but we do still wait for this.
Our job is to tell people. Our job is to tell people and get them talking. And I would say that that is the job of every marketeer, especially online. The simple things that we have and our checklists are to make sure that our website is mobile friendly and mobile first, and has simple things like the opening hours, times and details, that it's on Google Map and Google Business or Google Places, that the information on Facebook and Twitter is useful, it's relevant, or if it's on Instagram, it's inspirational and makes people think, oh, look at that, I want to go there. And we have a bit of personality in there as well.
So here are the 8 stages of the travel checklist. So it's really important to note that everybody goes through this process from dreaming to researching, from planning to booking. So it doesn't initially start with booking, it really starts with dreaming and inspiration. So first, you really have to inspire people and get them to start dreaming about their visit. And this can really be done through social media with a photo or video of the museum or of Ireland itself. So this really then makes people want to research their trip, to plan, book, and then of course, enjoy their visit when they're there. And whilst they're there, it's really important to invite people to share their experience online and of course, to welcome them back again.
One of the major awards that we have won is something called a World Travel Award. We were given the title of Europe's leading tourist attraction for 2019 and 2020, above of places like Buckingham Palace, the Louvre, the Eiffel Tower, the Roman Colosseum and the Sagrada Familia. These awards are voted by travel industry professionals, media and a public vote of our visitors. And they got a very good feedback. It was great to see it in the media. It was great to get congratulations from President Higgins, among others. And it was great to see the reaction of people in the press saying, this is a good news story for Ireland and for Irish tourism, especially when so many are closed. It's important to know as well that it's mainly an online campaign. So it's a very good example of online activity translating into offline media coverage?
So we followed our win with a campaign launched in summer 2020 during the pandemic. So the brand campaign was launched on social media, and it took a really daring and also humorous approach in response to our new title and the award. So our message was really to show that famous landmarks around Europe are not happy because they have heard the news of Epic being crowned Europe's leading tourist attraction. And actually it's right here in Dublin. So you can see the graphics here. And these are some of the messages that we shared about the campaign across Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where we reached 310,000 people on social media.
We get a lot of approaches and feedback from our colleagues, from other museums, from tour operators in the United States and across our networks going, how do you do this? Like, it's hard for us to find the time. It's all challenging. I don't know how to get engagement. There's too much competition out there. I want to reach millions. Or for people like me, it's I'm too old to be doing this sort of stuff. And really, the one thing that I took from this was it is all challenging. It's very challenging. The entire thing is challenging. To give you a good, bad example of this, let's talk about my mother, who is not on screen. But my mother a few years ago wanted to go on Facebook. She wanted to go on Facebook, she said, to see the photos of our cousins and their children. I think it was mostly because our next door neighbor was on Facebook and my mother didn't want to feel left behind. But regardless, I set up Facebook for my mother. I spent a few hours that day going through Facebook, what she should do, what she shouldn't do, what her home screen was, what a photograph was, what a like was, and everything. And I realized that Facebook, as one example, is very complicated to use if you are not a digital native, as they're called, if you don't and aren't familiar with it. So for ages, my mother, on her little tablet at home, was writing on photographs that we would put up on her page. And again, she had maybe 20, 30 friends at this stage. Some of them were mine, some of them were my sisters. But she would write in all lowercase, no spaces between the words, I like this, under the photographs, because she thought that's what liking a photo on Facebook meant. And then one morning I woke up and I found that my mother had discovered the like button on Facebook and that she had gone through an awful lot of my posts. So now I know that when I get a like and I like this in writing, she really likes what I put up. Because social media and posting is all challenging. It is all consuming. It is expensive from both a budget and a resource point of view. And we're all familiar with this sort of image where what if nobody is paying attention to us? In Epic, we have exactly the same challenges as all the other attractions and businesses in Dublin and in Ireland do. It is about finding the time. It is about getting engagement. It is about the quality content and being consistent. But we keep on going back to this. We keep on going back to having to tell people. So how do we do that?
So this is called the race model, which we use at Epic all the time. So first, you really have to reach people. So build awareness on other websites and offline if you can. And then second, you need to act. So, actively expose people to your brand on your website and through other online presences wherever possible. Then keep thinking about how do you want people to convert? So is it through leads? Is it through emails? Or is it through sales? So these conversions are your goals, but they can only really be done through, powerful marketing. So on top of that, it's also hugely important to continue engaging as much as possible by building strong relationships with your fans and also with your customers. So these are the 7 W's to really think about. Also the main questions to ask yourself when posting on social or when planning a campaign. So some of them, include who am I selling to? Where am I selling to them? What do I need them to do? And also most importantly, why would they care? So you really need to give people a reason to care about converting, buying, or signing up to your website. So really think about how does it benefit them?
A lot of people say, Epic, that's very easy to say, but you have such massive budgets and so much resource. And I then talk to them about buffaloes. In Epic and CHQ and the Jeannie Johnston, we use every part of the buffalo. For those of you unfamiliar with the phrase, it comes from the Native American use of the buffalo, where they used pretty much everything of the buffalo one way or another. In filmmaking in the very early days of Hollywood as well, they did exactly the same thing. If they needed somebody to stand into a scene, they would just grab the nearest person, no matter what they did. Obviously, these were the days before unions. To give you some examples, when I'm out walking with my son Sean, I'm obviously have my phone out. I'm taking photos, I'm making little videos, and people are interacting and going, "Oh, where were you where you took that photo? I'd like to visit there. That looks cool." So I make little videos like this. He's gotten a bit bigger since that video was taken. But again, lots of people going, okay, that looks like a bit of crack. Where is that? And I'm happy to say it's in Epic. And similarly, some of our publicity shots and our press shots are those of the children of staff members in Epic. In fact, all of the people that you see on screen are connected with Epic in some way or another. So we're not going out spending massive money on photography or on photographic models. We're using the people that are close to us to help our campaigns get notice. In fact, Razor Social has an extremely good image, as you see on screen, about how we approach every single campaign in Epic, no matter how similar to the one that this was before. From planning right through to defining our market, as Becca said, to getting our tracking in place, to optimizing our results, and to evaluating how something has gone. It goes back to all of the or WWWs. Some of the questions that we always ask ourselves is, who are we selling to? Who is our audience? Who are the people that want to come to Epic or will be interested? And it's people who might choose Ireland as a holiday destination. Epic isn't just for people coming from abroad, it is for local people as well. But it's for the people that like photos like this, or are amused by photos like this existing in Ireland, or like this beautiful photo of Cove, or like this one, all shared in Ireland's content pool, an amazing resource from Fáilte Ireland and from Tourism Ireland as well. We ask questions like, do you want to go to Ireland? Do you want to experience things like this? We also tap into Google's micro moments. Google have a very simple set of criteria that they think that people are engaging online about. They want to know something, they want to go somewhere, they want to do something, or they want to buy something. And in Epic, we work with those of going, well, there are people who want to know where their families came from, where their ancestors are buried, where is the wall that was in the house that my great-grandfather emigrated from. And so we have partners in the Irish Family History Centre in our building to help people with a view of their genealogy. We know people are curious about, they want to go to Roscommon to find that abandoned castle, or see if there are as many stone walls in the Aran Islands as they say they are, and there are. They want to do things like experience the St. Patrick's Parade in Dublin, or an award-winning museum. Or they might want to buy something like a pint of Guinness after their tour in Epic, or some art and photography. And we have tapped into all of those throughout our offerings to give them that, to give them those opportunities. We tell people to inspire people to do and find out about things online the same way they sell to them offline. You may be very familiar with this very stereotypical and popular image of Ireland, but it is also a mark of our success. We don't see success as we'll do one thing and it will end up in another. We see it as a very complicated thing. One of our main benefits is working with our partners like Tourism Ireland, who come in. We make our museum open to them, available to them. We want to work with them to help them, and they end up making little videos like this for us. Again, it is short, it is simple, it is sweet, and it gets people curious about going.
So online, we really like to ask people questions. So, get people involved from the very first interaction that they have with your brand. So at Epic, we might ask questions such as, have you emigrated? Or do you know someone who has? Or where are you from? So as an emigration museum, it's also really important to focus on the idea of home and missing home. So at Epic, we really like to share the importance of home wherever that is. So here is a particularly powerful video message that we have shared previously at Christmas time.
For a small island, we've made a big impression. We've traveled to the ends of the earth, scaled dizzying heights, made our mark on the land down under. We've played by our own rules, rewritten history, and celebrated our victories. We've made the world our audience, played our hearts out, and always danced to our own tune. But no matter how far our journeys have taken us, we've kept what matters. Home is always home.
We ask questions like, what's your name and where is it from? We target our marketing very much towards the people that we know will be interested in us. We don't try to get everybody. We try to get the people who are interested in Irish genealogy, Irish roots, Irish heritage, Irish culture, and those who might be interested in going to a museum. We know it's not for everybody, but we do tap into certain people who want to feel a bit of pride, who want to explore their heritage, or who want to just be honored in a museum. This is an award-winning video, very short, that was made for us as well.
When our ancestors left Irish shores, they left everything behind, except for something that would give them strength, their identity, their power to shape the world.
The kind of society we build, the kind of power we generate.
What meant everything to them is what they gave you, your name. Epic shares the stories of Irish emigration. We're building on one of our most unique exhibitions. Whether you're from a neighbouring county or a faraway country, play your part in the Power of a Name exhibition and honour your ancestors by bringing your family name home.
You'll notice there we talked about faraway countries and neighbouring counties. That video was edited or adapted during lockdown to reflect the fact that people can't travel, but also recognise the fact that people want to do an awful lot of stuff online. We also ask questions simply like, what's the worst journey you've ever been on? Those of you familiar with budget airlines can certainly answer this one. But when we looked after the Jeannie Johnston, we wanted to emphasize that yes, famine ships and coffin ships were a traumatic, horrible experience for so many poor people. But if you take something like the Jeannie Johnston, which was also a tragic trip, it is the only famine ship that nobody died on board. In fact, actually, there was a baby born on one of their journeys. So there's a difference sometimes with how people perceive what they are going to experience and the actual truth. And we would like to emphasize that. And again, going back to the every part of the Buffalo piece, all of the people that you see on our screen there are connected with Epic. One of the other questions that we ask is, where are your family from? Tapping into children's curiosity about their genealogy. We created simple, and they are very simple, question and downloadable packs about genealogy to help children become family history detectives, so they could find out from their parents, their grandparents, their uncles, their aunts, wherever they were in the world, a little bit more about their family. So again, tapping into that whole idea of, we're all in lockdown, we can't leave our houses, but we have so much technology and communication devices available to us. Maybe family history would be something you'd be interested in.
So an impressive 23 out of 45 US presidents throughout history actually have connections to the island of Ireland. So, you know, this is such an astounding statistic that we actually chose to highlight and focus on this on Inauguration Day back in January 2021, and again on President's Day in February. So we really wanted to inform our audiences of the presidential routes to Ireland and the contribution of Irish immigrants throughout history, as you can see on the map and on the infographic here. So this post, which we shared on Inauguration Day, had an enormous reaction on social media, and it actually proved to be one of our most popular tweets yet, with over 350,000 impressions just on that one tweet alone. So as you can see, it was shared by embassy pages, ambassadors, and leading tour operators around the world, including the Embassy of Ireland in the US.
And an important part to point out about this is, it wasn't just the one day. President's Day is a celebration on February 15th in the US, so we were able to share it again. We will be able to share that again on July 4th. So we look at the content that we are creating and when it might be appropriate to share it again, and again.
And this also goes for the 8th of March, which is actually International Women's Day, an annual celebration online. So we chose to join this online conversation by shining a light on the stories of Ireland's pioneering diaspora women, which are featured in our museum. So from the first female pilot to the first ever female stockbroker. So by tapping into these stories, we actually reached over 117,000 accounts organically just on that one day alone.
I keep on coming back to our partnerships and our collaborations with other museums, venues, and Tourism Ireland and Fáilte Ireland. Tourism Ireland came to us and said, could you create a little video that we could show our media and industry partners a little bit of Irish culture, but not just about your museum, not just use the promo video that you saw at the start. So we had the idea of, let's make something, but also teach people a little bit of Gaeilge. And this is a little taste of how that looked.
Díobh agus fáilte go Epic, the Irish Emigration Museum in Mallaiglia. Hello, and welcome to Epic, the Irish Emigration Museum in Dublin. We are celebrating the most Irish day of the year, and we're better than this award-winning museum that shows the influence of the island of Ireland all over the world. With statues, rivers, great walls, and even hairstyles ag Ivy Gloss, turning green this time of year, we remember those who left Ireland. Those who built cities and railways, those who worked in schools and hospitals, those who invented motor cars and submarines, those who brought Irish culture right to wherever it is you are in the world. I'm here to teach you some simple phrases in the Irish language to help your St. Patrick's Day sound even better. Let's start with hello, Díobh. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Lá Éile Pádraig Sunadich. You might.
As you can imagine, that will be used again and again around St. Patrick's Day, and we will have a non-St. Patrick's Day version. We did something similar with our good friends at the London Irish Centre, where we created a video for them that they showed on St. Patrick's Night, where we highlighted how in Epic we celebrate the contributions of those who moved to Britain, those who are of Irish heritage in Britain, and those who identify as Irish in Britain. One of the astounding facts that I learned in Epic is that there are more people in the UK with Irish grandparents than there are people in Ireland with Irish grandparents, which is quite an astounding fact. We also recognize that we have a pretty cool venue. So we collaborated with an Instagram account called Extract, who brought hip hop stars in to film their music videos in an unusual place in Dublin and showcase what they did. So to get to the practicalities, one of the big questions is, what are we putting out when? And we feel that a content calendar doesn't need to be any more complicated, really, than what you're seeing on the screen. And actually what you're posting doesn't need to be complicated because, as I said, I've been in this game quite a while now, and really what blogging is, what writing is, what everything hasn't really changed. It's just the method of delivery.
So a great way to plan content out is with a content calendar. And so the aim of this for us at Epic is to highlight key dates in the calendar that are really important to share on our social pages. So such as World Tourism Day or St. Patrick's Day, as Darragh mentioned, and the birth and the anniversaries of the deaths of notable Irish emigrants, writers, artists, and more. So for Epic, we celebrate notable dates of characters within our museum, such as the birthday of Grace Kelly or the birthday of Phil Lynott. So posts like these really tell a story and consistently generate high engagement for us. So, it's really worthwhile marking down your most important dates when planning content and, really recognizing the dates that resonate with your audience. So, as people cannot visit us at the moment, we really want people to continue engaging with our content online. So we continually bring out the stories from the museum and share them in the form of evergreen blog content, which we publish on our website regularly. And we also work very closely with RTE Culture around this, who also help amplify the content on their website and their social channels. So we really recommend planning your content with a social media management tool, so you can schedule posts ahead of time and for the weekend. So it's important to remember before scheduling that you understand your audience and really think about what they have engaged with in the past, as this is usually a really good indication of the type of content that they would like to see again. So use a social media management tool to really get your timings right. So at Epic, we use a program called HubSpot. So on HubSpot, you can save key posting times, as we have done here. So Monday to Friday are always really good days to post, particularly Wednesdays, and this is true of all platforms. So as you can see here, the average times to post a day on Facebook is 1 to 2 times per day, 3 times a day on Twitter, and 1 to 3 times a day on Instagram as a rough guideline. And so these are just some of the many programs and tools that are available to help you schedule your content. And there are monthly plans available for these as well. But if you don't have the budget, that's fine. Google Sheets is also a really helpful way of doing this. So we always make sure to plan ahead and to know what content is coming up on our social strategy. And it can be particularly daunting to decide what to post about, but here are just some things to think about. So user-generated content, which means sharing content by another user with their permission. And so that could be somebody visiting Epic and asking to share that photo at a later date on our channels. Posting itinerary ideas and suggestions and focusing on a particular destination that you want to highlight, or sharing, fun facts about Ireland, and even highlighting your follower milestones. These are just some of the things that we do at Epic on social.
And we're quite anal about it in a way. We like to optimize. So if we see something isn't working, we'll try it again. If we see something isn't getting in traction, we'll try it again. So being quite scientific about all of this does help. And the other thing to tap into is the ego and the ecosystem that is social media. I mean, you're all very familiar with how most people use social media. Look at me, look at what I'm having for lunch, look at who my friends are, look at where I've traveled to, look at what I'm posting, look at the filters that I'm able to put on photographs now. Here's a little video. So for example, our partners in Tourism Ireland have pointed out that first-person videos are really, really popular and important because it makes the viewer, whether they're viewing it on their monitor or on their phone, feel like they're there and get a sense of what they are there.
So nostalgic photos can have a really big impact on social media as well when used correctly, and can really engage people who aren't otherwise familiar with your brand. So comparison photos such as the ones you see here really allow people to quickly engage with the content without asking them to invest too much time. So you can engage with trends such as Flashback Friday or Throwback Thursday. And these kind of trends really encourage online discussions amongst users about their memories and their previous visits to Ireland.
Certainly people abroad love how old Ireland is. They can't get over the age of some of our buildings or the beauty of some of our buildings. So we're not afraid to share other people's content, other venues, other attractions content, and share beautiful content about Ireland. It always pays off for us.
So make your visuals colourful and iconic. You know, imagery really captures people's eye online, and it often ignites the inspiration or the dreaming stage, as I mentioned earlier, in many future travellers. So if you wouldn't click on it, then don't put it up. This is usually the rule that we go by. So make sure that you would be interested in seeing it before you post it online.
And remember that people are very curious about where was Game of Thrones shot. It's 10 years old this week, which might age a couple of you, but people are still interested and there's still tours, or people are interested in Skellig Michael and all of the places where Star Wars was shot. So we tap into that curiosity as well.
So with many attractions closed, there's actually never been a better time for people to start looking into their family roots. So something that we did at Epic was we began engaging with audiences back in early 2020 by offering free downloadable genealogy packs to help people take their first steps into discovering their Irish ancestry.
And finally...
Oh, go on, Darragh.
No, you please.
So obviously there's a lot to take in. We've covered a lot and we've covered many years of content at Epic. So we thought we'd just break down some of the key takeaways for your social media. So, you know, tell people where you are on social, show them, reach out to other attractions and other pages to help share your content online. It's a really good way of amplifying your posts. And if you don't have photos and videos at hand, you know, visit pages, visit accounts like Darragh mentioned, such as Ireland's Content Pool. It's a brilliant free resource with free images and video content of Ireland at your fingertips. And you know, you can engage with, you can use websites such as Canva to edit your photos. It's a fantastic and really quick way of editing things down very quickly. And most of all, you know, share what you love about Ireland. That's really important, and that will really come through in your content. So just on behalf of me and Darragh, just thank you so much for listening. And also you can engage with us and reach out to us through our hashtag, which is Epic Museum, and through our handle, which is Epic Museum CHQ. And you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Darragh and Rebecca. We received a couple of questions I'd like to get to straight away, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first question is, any plans to keep a hybrid of virtual and in-person tours when reopening? So I think you may guys share the, I know that recently you have a brilliant initiative with virtual tours. So yeah, the question is maybe related to this as well. Apart from social media, how the other digital technology like VR and AR help growing audience to Epic?
It's a very good point. We do have a very, very good tour on our website. Obviously, we couldn't include everything in our presentation. So there is a tour on our website that is virtual that you can go and click around on. But the important thing is for that questioner to note is that we will be creating specific bespoke online tours that people can engage with, because we understand that during COVID and post-COVID, people may still be a little bit hesitant or be unable to leave the house. You know, one of the remarkable things about COVID for us was we lost so many of our audience when older people had to cocoon and couldn't leave the house. So we were creating and curating content especially for them. So the short answer is yes, we will be doing a hybrid of online and virtual tours. And we welcome people contacting us and saying, have you thought about this, or could you put this on for us?
Thank you. The videography and graphic design of all your promos are outstanding. Do you guys have a photographer and graphic designer in-house?
So we're very strong on our branding, and we've just come through a branding procedure here. So we work with Max Media, who are a video company who are very familiar with us and know the museum intimately, and we know the team there. So that's one strong thing. And the other thing is, what you might notice is in all of the videos that you saw earlier, they all had little bits of the first promo video that I showed you. So we keep on reusing content in different ways. It's not about generating new content all of the time. It's about being clever, reusing, upcycling our content. And Becca works very closely with Fintan Wall, who is our main designer, and Becca can talk about the design.
Yeah, so we've been working quite closely with Fintan for several years now, and he's worked across, many of our different campaigns, and he's brilliant designer to work with, particularly around kind of editing, having graphics, and designing something really impactful for social media. That's really, one of his strong points. So some of the campaigns you've seen there from the World Travel Awards campaign to reopening campaigns, he's helped us create these really strong visual graphics that he can communicate the message basically very, very easily online across all our channels.
Interesting. I think Darragh, you answered this question, but you may need to add something. Could you tell us a bit about how to use the VR museum tours in particular to cope with during COVID, and did those work well for you?
What I didn't mention in my earlier answer was that we have a very strong education program. So there are lots of schools that have the VR headsets now. So actually schools can experience Epic through that VR. Did they work well for us? It's certainly one of the most trafficked pages on our website. It certainly gives people an impression of what it is like to visit Epic, and it looks good. But as you know, Abdel-Jamal, when you're doing something and you're looking at something all of the time, all you can see is the mistakes and the improvements that can be made. So the VR tour that we have on our website is probably a couple of years old now, and probably needs a little bit of updating. So yes, VR worked well for us. It could work better for us. You could have bespoke tours in there to say, you are looking at this, but you've told us that you are only interested in Australia. So we will only show you the content that is relevant to Australia or to Canada or to men or to women or whatever. So there's lots of opportunities there for us as well.
To make it more personal, implementing personalization features. Yeah,
we're only starting out in it, but so are so many other places. So there's lots of places in Japan, especially in Tokyo, that have these incredible VR experiences. We're taking baby steps.
Brilliant. Thank you. Another question here. What are your experiences in influencer marketing aside from the musician you invited to your museum to film their music video? Have you collaborated with any Irish influencer in the past?
Yeah, so I work quite closely with influencers and reaching out to new pages. So that can be family influencers or travel influencers. So one travel influencer that we had visit Epic prior to COVID, her name is Tara, and her handle is Where is Tara? And she has many thousands of followers, and she shares some brilliant content of her visit to Epic. And she also, by creating these relationships with influencers, it really helps in the future when you have future campaigns, as an additional person to help share that content and get the news out there, basically. And in the past year, I've also really helped expand Epic's work with family influencers. Some of the other ones include Dublin City Mum, who's visited Epic several times and run competitions and giveaways, and general online partnerships basically are a really strong point and are a great way to reach audiences that you haven't otherwise tapped into. So it's something that we're continually working on as we go forward.
Interesting. Another question I have here. Will you succeed as a museum lead to further expansion? Or maybe if we can frame this question is, what is your future plans in terms of targeting more audience or new segmentation or entering new, in terms of digital marketing?
Well, we never stop, really. It's amazing the amount of work we got done for a museum that was closed, but we introduce new features and new galleries into our museum all the time. And we also have exhibitions in partnership with the Department of Foreign Affairs. So our big exhibition coming this year is Out in the World, the Ireland's LGBTQ plus diaspora. So that will be an exhibition that will be in the CHQ building, but also in embassies around the world. So we constantly are looking for different ways to celebrate immigrants abroad, migrants coming to Ireland and their influence on Ireland, and the whole theme of migration. For expansion of the museum, we occupy 20 rooms in the vaults in the CHQ building. And also in the other vaults, there are gymnasiums, there are restaurants and whatever. I don't know if they will be there all the time. So we'll see if we can knock through a wall and create more. But there's an awful lot we can do with temporary exhibitions in the CHQ building and with other venues and going out to schools and everything. So yes, the more we do and the more we succeed and the more we see that there is an appetite for the type of content that we create, the more we will build on what we do.
Very good. Can you give your inputs? Another question. Can you give your inputs on strategy adopted to engage teenagers during the pandemic? What is your strategy to engage the teenagers?
So we're actually looking at TikTok at the moment. So that's a new platform for us, as it is for many organisations, and it is a popular platform amongst teenagers and sort of younger audiences. So this is kind of the most immediate plan that we have coming up, which is to begin, sharing valuable, engaging video content, funny stories, picking out the humorous elements of the stories within the exhibition, highlighting Irish comedians and Irish writers, and making that content accessible for all ages, essentially, and particularly younger audiences. So that's our most immediate plan, is for TikTok, and of course other influencers out there, within kind of the age brackets and social energizers. But I'd say TikTok is the most kind of prominent plan at the moment.
Very good. Do you think this is your video is fantastic. Do you think this is achievable for a small business owner on budget?
This is going to sound like a very bad answer, but we are a small business owner on a budget. Yeah. In a way we are. I have worked for charities that have no budget. I have worked for clients like 20th Century Fox who actually make feature films. So I see the difference between the both. Yes, it is, if you find the right person to do the videos, if you know what you want the person who watched the video to do afterwards. That's very important. So I'm going to repeat that. You should know what you want the person watching the video to do afterwards, before you even start scripting your video, before you start going, here's what I'll shoot, here's what looks well. We're in a very big conversation at the moment about TikTok, because obviously TikTok is this massive, massive audience that could be exploited for us. But we're not going to put stuff up on TikTok unless we think that it's good enough. And I don't mean feature film quality good enough. I just mean, is it interesting? And is it interesting enough to have somebody who watches this video go, I want to find out more about Epic. So for a small video budget, I would say, understand what you want the person to do once they've watched the video, and start at that point before you create it. But there are some absolutely wonderful video makers out there. Talk to Max Media. Max Media are very good. They're not expensive. You get a lot of value out of it, and keep on using the video that you have shot in other ways to make the most of it as well.
Good advice. I think we still have a couple of minutes, so for one more question. How would you say, does marketing an experience like going to a museum on social media differ from marketing consumer products? Do you focus on emotions?
Becca.
I'd say emotions are a big part of it. Obviously, we have a kind of experience of both of those things really. So we have the Epic's Museum gift shop recently moved online. So it is obviously a very different strategy when you're trying to market and trying to promote those products in the gift shop as opposed to the museum and attraction. But I would say, personally, as the person posting on social media on a daily basis, emotion actually is a huge part of getting people to engage and to entice people to that next stage of planning and booking. So, evoking emotion through some of the video content that you saw there and some of the photos, and, sharing people's kind of discoveries along the way, like people visited the museum and discovered they're related to somebody within the museum, as a distant relative. And I think people really care about those stories and that human element. So when it comes to museums and attractions, yeah, certainly I would. And with retail, it's obviously it can be a very different approach, but it depends entirely on what you're selling, really. Obviously, some products have that emotional element to them as well. But I would say it certainly is very important for an attraction.
Thank you. Thank you very much, guys, for answering all the questions. Before wrapping up, I'd like to thank Darragh and Rebecca for taking the time to give us an insightful and interesting talk about the Epic. And for our audience, thank you very much for joining us and for your questions. GETDigital will continue for today with our final Ask Me Anything AMA session. It will be at 11:45 on paid advertising. So we will have a quite impressive lineup of experts here to answer your burning questions. So be sure to join us at 11:45. And my final thanks to Darragh and Rebecca. Thank you very much, guys, and enjoy your rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.